Hello, fourth graders, and welcome. This is lesson 2.1, right? We're starting our second math unit today. And if you look at the screen here, you can see that good mathematicians are always looking for and using patterns, right? We see lots of patterns in nature. You can see some different patterns in these three images as well. Today, we're going to talk about patterns that we see in arrays. Now, I know you've done lots of arrays before in previous grade levels, so just a little review here of what a rectangular array is, right? We can make it with counters like this, or you'll see it with X's sometimes, or even with squares. But each row has the same number, right? So this is an even number. Uh, this it's not even, but the same number as in the other row, right? Each column has the same row, it has a rectangular shape, and then we can multiply, right? 2 times 4 equals 8 here, and these are to represent multiplication equations. So today we're going to be talking about a special type of array, right? It's a special rectangular array called a square array. Okay, and square arrays are always going to have the same number of rows and columns, so it's shaped like a square. Now, this square, right, represents a square number. So we know that 4 times 4, we can count these up and get 16. 16 is a square number. So any number that can be divided up in here into a square array is a square number. Now, another way to know a square number is that the two factors are the same, right? The factors are the numbers that are multiplied. So here we have 4 times 4. We're using the factor twice. So 4 times 4 is 16. So that is why this is called a square array. Then, all right, so our objective today is to be able to use arrays to find and identify square numbers. And you can see we're actually looking for these structures and patterns. There's the word pattern in our standards here today. Right, so if we took the number 4, 4 is a square number. Well, how do I know that? Well, if I was going to draw an array that has 4, I could do 2 and 2, and that makes a square, right? The shape that's around it is a square. So 4 is a square number. What's the multiplication fact that would equal 4? Yeah, right? 2 times 2 equals 4. So the product 4 can be written as a square. So 4 is a square number. 2 and 2 are the factors. 2 times 2 equals 4. All right, let's keep going with this. Here's a pattern, right? So here's our square numbers. We have 1, right? We can make a square out of just 1. We could make a square out of this. This is a square. This is a square. So let's go with patterns. There's lots and lots of patterns here. What pattern do you see in front of you? Okay, there's a lot of things that might be said here, right? Now, obviously, the numbers are going up, right? But hopefully, we got a little bit more in depth than that. A lot of people talk about how the number of rows increases by 1, right? So we have 1 row, then we have 2 rows here, and 3 rows here. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. The same thing happens with the columns. 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns. One of my favorite patterns is to look at these products, right? Because these are going from odd, even, right? We could actually add here too, right? +3, +5 more, +7 more. So we're adding an odd number. There's lots of patterns. One of the biggest ones, of course, though, is that they're all squares, and the squares keep getting bigger. Okay, so these are square arrays. I told you sometimes it's written in actual squares, so you can see that here, right? 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. That's something else you might have said here, right? Every time we go up to the next one, where the factors are increasing by 1. 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16. All right, so our goal to be able to identify square numbers. Let's look at our Math Journal page. So I would like for you to open to Math Journal page 35 now. All right, so we're just going to read a little bit of this. I'm going to kind of help you get started, but then you're going to be solving some of these arrays. So square numbers, this is what we said in our lesson. A square array is a special rectangular array that has the same number of rows and columns. A square array represents a whole number called a square number, right? So all those numbers back there that we saw that were squares, right? These, and on the other screen too. One is a square number. So it's 4, 9, and 16 because they can be divided up into a square array. So on that math journal page, we can see the ones that we've been working with, right? So here we have the first square number, then this next one, then the next one, then the next one. So how would we draw the next one? Well, let's see. So, because that's our job here, draw a square erase to represent the next two square numbers after 16. Write each square number. So it goes 1, 4, 9, 16. So what would be the next one? Well, this one was 4 rows of 4, right? So here we would need 5 rows of 5. So I'm going to use X's here because that's what I like to do best. If you want to use circles or whatever you want to use, that's fine. So 5 rows of 5. Take me a moment to do that, but you can see what I'm doing. There's 4 rows and 5 rows. All right, now, right, if this was 1 times 1, and this was 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, what's this one going to represent? Right, 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is what? 25, right? So this is 5 times 5 equals 25. So you're going to draw the next one here. Hopefully you've got the pattern. Then you'll find the next square number. Now, when you get down here, right, list all of the square numbers through 50. You know most of them already, right? You're 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. So you're going to start that list. Now, you don't have all of them yet. So you've got to figure out, what would be next and what would be after that up to 50, right? Now, this is an interesting question. How can you find the 10th square number without drawing the array? So think about that, right? How could you maybe use multiplication? Here's a little hint for you. And then down here, number 4, list the first square numbers. Well, you'll have the first 10. You'll have most of that list done here, but then you'll have to figure out a few more and look for patterns. Okay, so what we're working on today is finding these, we don't need math boxes yet, finding these square numbers, right? These are square numbers. They're numbers that can be made into square arrays. All right, if you need any help with anything, please be sure to reach out to me, and good luck.